Good afternoon, how's it going? So there hasn't been a video for the past month or so on the museum channel. I'm sorry about that. Truth is, I've got a bunch of them and I got further and further behind with the editing and finishing those. So I'm just going to be bashing them out and going to be putting out more videos that are a little bit less sorted out and stuff, just here and there, but pushing it out because there's a lot of things here. And a lot of new things that need to be talked about. Even new rooms worth of stuff need to be talked about. So there's a bunch of videos that are going to be coming up. I think what happened was so bogged down with the organ that it kind of just fell out of kind of rotation. So we're bringing it back. So we're going to come back with another telephone video. I know the telephone videos aren't for everyone, so watch or look away if you're not interested. There will be some more synthesizer stuff going because we've got an SQ10, a Korg SQ10 that people can play on. It's pretty awesome. I'll do a video on that next. But what we're going to do a video on today is right behind us. So the museum has just closed, and yeah, this random junk that is in the middle of the room right here is, well, yeah, it's just sat there. It's been there since yesterday, and what it is, well, we'll have a look at it in a second. It is already bolted down, actually. I've just put it here just to kind of just leave it there whilst I was sorting out something else as I pulled it out from the van yesterday. But then I decided it's kind of cool there because there's a good old walkway. You can get around it, and you know, you can pop a table in front of it of bits and stuff going around. But we're gonna have a look at this and what it is. So a lovely guy by the name of Matt was selling this, and I decided, oh, go on then, let's give it a go. It's pure curiosity. This is quite an early automatic telephone exchange, pre-2000. He had it for 8 years or so. Maybe he can fill us in a little bit about where this actually came from him, because he got it from somebody else who actually did quite a bit of the work to get this running as it works now. Right now it's not plugged in, it's just bolted down. I've ordered some acrylic plastic that will go, oh no, does this go over? I've ordered some acrylic plastic which will cover it up so people can see in, but you know, not like get their fingers all stuck and such. So we can take the cans off the front and have a look at some of these interesting, I guess you could call them modules, switch relay sets or whatever. These are pretty interesting. They're discriminators. They've got uni-selectors, and you can program them with these little sets of viewpoints. And this little set of switchboards on the side. Oh my god, they're a little bit more firm than the UAX13 styles. So this is a UAX12 type of style of exchange. It's pretty cool. Seems like it'll be pretty fun. Oh, gotta fit it in. Inside here are some more relays and such. This is the time, start and alarm control. There we go. Oh, and it's got a test number so we can actually call it and hear the tests and stuff. So when this is set up and sorted out, you will be able to call into it. At the bottom we've got, I don't know what we've got, a lot of controls. So there's an allotter at the front. I'll explain about that in a little bit, but I won't even, let's take the boxes off. Let's take them off anyway. A lot of control. Ooh. And then we've got incoming junctions and outgoing junctions. Line finder. Incoming, yeah. So, got the incoming junctions. So we've got the junction relay sets on this side. But it doesn't stop there. There's more interesting stuff around the other side. So this exchange comes with two pre-2000 switches that are right here. It's got 20 phone line inputs, I think. I might be wrong, I'm not 100% sure. We'll get it turned on at some point in this video, I'm pretty sure. Oh, it's exciting. So let's take these cans off. Oh yeah. There's one. Two. Oh yeah, lovely. And then tone and time pulse generator. This hasn't actually got a ringing machine. It's got a solid state ringing machine that was built by, I think, the previous owner before Matt, and that is right here. And yeah, oh, and then line controls, and then line relays at the bottom. Yeah, I think there's, yeah, there's 20 phones that can be plugged into this. Lovely job. Oh. So there's just a couple of switches here, and they kind of dance between a final selector and a group selector. It's kind of funky. There's a lot of relays on there, I must be honest. I'm not 100% sure what or how or why or where, but we're going to plug it in, see what it does. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 20 meters here for the phone numbers, and then around the back there's also some more meters to see how often numbers get called, levels get called, I think. So if you look on this side, there's the for the 20 phones, and then underneath there's the 2 line finders that are connected to these. So these are uniselector type line finders, and they are allotted to each of the line circuits on the phone by this uniselector, which is an allotter. And you saw the relays around the other side. That was for allotting them. Somewhere in here, I think. I seem to remember. Yeah, look, there's some more meters here. Meters not connected. Beware of special overflow meter. So how are we going to power it? For the start, we're going to power it with this thing. It's been in the shed. What it is a power unit 100A-2, and this gives out minus 50 volts, and it also gives out a ringing current, because this needs a ringing current. It's got the tones and stuff from there, but it needs, like, what is it, 60, 80 volts AC or something that goes between the ring and the ring return. R and RR. R. So we're going to have to plug those somewhere into here. Where? I don't know. So yeah, I've got a wire coming out, and that is connected to the minus voltage, which is the battery, and the plus, which is the earth. That's quite confusing. So the positive, the plus sign, is actually plugged into the earth of the cabling. So it's all negative voltage here. So luckily, I found that if we get this, we can actually... we can squeeze this into the bottom of the box, obviously with a cover on top, and then that means that we can have the power supply kind of sat out of sight, and then the power will run over underneath one of these thingamajiggies over to there, so we can get it powered by something. I think that'll be the next step, is plugging it in and seeing what the fudge it does. So we've got to route this cable that's coming from the power supply. We've got to route it right up to the top where it goes onto the thingamajiggy. All the wiring stuff happens at the top. The powers go onto these 2 little bits here, and this is why I can't have it running until I get the acrylic covers to stop prying fingers, putting the fingers in there. It's only 50 volts and low amperage because it's quite a small power supply, but still, you don't want to just have it running, being bare, sitting about. So let's get this plugged in and see what we can do around here. Just hold it in for now. There's earth, which is plus, I know, head fudge. And then the black wire is brown, which is battery. I know, bit of a head fudge, but it's fine. It does anything. Okay, it goes nothing. Oh jeez. Oh! There was a click. Okay. Okay. Ooh. So last night I wired it in. I had a couple of scary times. There was a bit of a sketchy problem around here. The B relay right here wasn't triggering the C relay, but it was just a bit of cleaning was required. There was a couple of blown fuses that were blowing. Not sure why, but that problem sorted itself out, luckily. Yeah, right now it is working somewhat. It's not actually wired in to anything else around here. I probably haven't got time because the museum, it's a Sunday, the museum's going to open in an hour. So I just figured I'd show you how it's working. Probably not going to have it running because we haven't got any covers over the top of it. But I'm going to show you what it does in its current setup. And it's actually quite different to the UAX13 exchange stuff. This UAX12 stuff is all just it's a bit funky. In the next video on this, when I've got it wired into everything else, we're gonna have a closer look at it. This is where it's gonna be calling through to get to the Mega Drone, so you can listen to that. Maybe the theremin, maybe the Santa keyboard. The Santa keyboard would be good to dial, so you can dial and actually play it with the numbers. That might be cool, but it's all just, you know, there's never ending projects. So right at the bottom, we've got line relays. There's 3 relays per line. You can wire in 20, bloody more. Oh. Bit wonky. Come on. You can wire in 20 phones into this, into the input, and then those go up to these. It's slightly different to the UAX13 setup because this is the same actually. It's an allotter. What the allotter does is it sends the phones either to this or this. These are the line finders. They're slightly different to the other line finders because there's less lines going in. They're actually uni selectors that do it. Makes a different sound. It sounds pretty funky. So when you pick up a phone, what happens is whichever line finder the allotter is telling to go to, it will cause that to try and spin around and find out which of the 20 phones is picked up. So we pick up the phone over here. Oh yeah, and it all comes to life. You can see here this has been built afterwards to replace like a ringing generator and stuff. It's got the dial tone, drivers, ringtone and stuff like that. So we'll have a closer look at that at some point, the schematic. But right now it works. Let's just hope it doesn't stop working. So when the line finder finds the phone, it's spun around. I think it was that one, number 6, which is it's this switch right here. And when you dial it, there's a couple of different things that this does. It sort of acts between a final selector and a group selector. So unlike it being a group selector that goes to a final selector, this actually has a function that means that you can call it to turn into a separate mode that switches it over to a final selector. I know those words might be a bit silly, but right now it's wired in that only 2 first numbers work. You've either got Oh yeah, it also times out. That's pretty cool. So if you dial in a 2, this is where it gets interesting. So when you dial a 2, it tells this switch to turn into a final selector, so you can dial one of the numbers that are below, any number between 0 and 100 actually that are inside the building. So you pick it up, and what you do is you dial 2, it goes up, and then it actually drops down again. Oh, it was over here. Let's do that again. I'll show you it again on the other side. Right, it's going to be on here, I think. So we dial a 2. Oh, I'm a final selector now. So it's gone up to 2. Realise that that's going to be an internal call. It drops down again, and now you can call any number between 0, 0 and 9, 9. 9, 9 is actually the test number, so it's got test tones. So we dial 9 and 9, and then if I put your microphone up against it, I need to figure out exactly what the test tones tell you and such. It's an inverted ring tone apparently, and I think it tells you whether there's a fuse blown or something like that, but I need to figure out exactly what or how. So maybe somebody can comment below what the fudge that is. We'll find out for the next video. Then if you dial a number that's say 0 or 0, 1, any number but 2 or 9, it will come up with an NU tone, so 5, or dial 5. So it comes over dial 6. Yeah, you get that. Let's dial 2 again, and then we'll dial one of the numbers that are over, that's connected to a phone already. I can't remember what the number is. 2, drops down again, 6, 5. So yeah, you can tell, you can dial the numbers. However, you can also dial 9, which means an external number. So when it goes up to 9, it means that you can call outwards. But there's some interesting things that happen when you dial 9. Well, I think are interesting anyway. So we pick it up again, dial 9. It flicks over. It's acted like a group selector now, and it's hunted around to try and find a free line that's going outwards. That's when we have a look around this side and have a look in one of these boxes. Pull that out. This one's pretty funky. Apparently it's called a discriminator. Yes, it's a line number discriminator. Oh, it's timed out. I've got to call it again. But what this does is it stops people calling out to certain numbers. Let's say you want to dial a 0 number, which is kind of like a long distance call, I think. I've got to check. But it will stop you from doing that because a long distance call will be expensive. Wherever this was set up, it's like, no, you're not allowed to call a long distance. It will dial, this uniselector down here will spin around to 0 and stop you from actually calling out. Let's say if you dialed a 2 in here, it would go and then be like, oh, that's fine. They can call 2. Why not? That will be a local kind of number. So when I dial 9 again for an external number, pick it up, goes up to 9. Dial something. So it dialed a 9 then, and there's no sound, and it means that we can actually carry on calling the number. However, if we dial a 0, drop it down, 9, external line, dial a 0, wait for it. Oh my God. 0 and I think 1 is not allowed. You can code them. You can type in what you can program it to listen to certain numbers, and that's this kind of pin matrix over here. You solder bits and bobs onto it. I haven't figured it quite out yet. But if you dial, and then I think it's 1 that's also not allowed. Yeah, 1's not allowed. 1's not allowed. But oh, I dialed the wrong number again. Dial 6 and it will let you dial through. No noise, no problem. So that means we'll be able to store things, but you can also stop people from calling whatever. It's not much useful now in this setup, but it's still cool to have. It's cool to do, but like, let's have a look on the side of it where you can actually, goody aunts. That's where you program what you're allowed and what you're not allowed on this pin matrix around the side. Oh yeah, these ones are a much more awkward way of setting it up. I can imagine that the U points around the back don't last as long because they're a bit clunky. So that's how it's set up now. Right now it's probably not going to be plugged in because we haven't got anything covering it, because you don't want fingers getting all pokey. So dial it from this side. Oh, the fun. 2. And then it drops down again. 8, 9. Hello Tracy, how's it going, darling? Yeah, we need some things faxing. Photocopying, I mean. Well, actually that might be a bit too modern as well. Yeah. So yeah, we're going to be doing a few more videos around the new bits around the place, including the sequencers and the musical computers that are in the musical computer room. Ooh. And yeah, stuff like that. But for now, that's it from that. And I've got to clean up because it's going to open in a bit. Have a lovely time. Toodly-doo.